Hello friends, welcome to School of Political Science, and today our topic is what is good governance. Recently the term governance and good governance are being increasingly used in development literature. Bad governance is being increasingly regarded as one of the root causes of all evil within our societies. Major donors and international financial institutions are increasingly basing their aid and loans on the condition that reforms that ensure good governance are undertaken. So, what is the concept of governance? During the mid 14th century, Ambrogio Lorenzetti, an Italian artist, painted a series of three frescoes. In this work, he critically analyzed the differentiation between good and bad government. In one part of the frescoes, there was a beautiful city where young women were dancing, children were playing, and men were working. But in other part of the frescoes, he illustrated bad government where there was no justice, no one was working, and there was only activity was killing of men and raping of women. Like Lorenzetti, in that time, political scientists elaborated the governance as the welfare of the citizens. Traditionally, the governance was associated with the government and it has been considered as the exercise of power of political leaders. The modern sense of governance had been emerging at the end of 1980s. During this period, a drastic political change has been appeared all over the world. Due to the disintegration of the Soviet Union, the economy of her alliances of the Eastern Bloc almost broke down. These political changes created the breeding ground and gave way for a serious discussion on how a state has to be designed in order to achieve development. In World Bank's study in 1989, Sub-Saharan Africa from crisis to sustainable growth has been referred to need for institutional reform and a better and more efficient public sector. The main focus of the bank was to analyze the developmental problems in the sub-Saharan countries. The bank emphasized on the reformations of the public sectors from government to the governance. During this period, the term governance distincts from government and it was associated with civil society actors. In 1992, World Bank has been published another document on governance and development that the governance is considered as a process by which the legitimized power had been exercised for the utilizations of resources of a country for development but not growth. After the 1990s, governance has become more important. In this time, public sectors have been reformed by the new public management's aim, that is economy, efficiency and effectiveness through the principles of decentralizations and debureaucratizations. Now, governance has been considered in terms utilizations of socio-economic resources for ensuring effectiveness and efficiency in the public services. Administrator has considered as manager and citizen has considered as the consumer. Governance has been more considered in terms of service delivery to the citizens. Definitions of governance. Governance can also be defined as the exercise of the political authority and the use of institutional resources to manage problems and the affairs of the society. According to the Rhodes, governance refers to self-organizing inter-organizational network characterized by interdependence, resource exchange, rules of the game, and significant autonomy from the state. Reznau argues that global governance is conceived to include system of rules at all levels of the human activity from the family to international organizations in which pursuit of the goal through the exercise of the control has transnational repercussions. To heighten governance is the stewardship of the formal and informal political rules of the game. Governance refers to those measures that involve setting the rules for the exercise of power and settling conflict over such rules. From the above definitions, it can be concluded that governance is defined as a set of network in the pursuit of the common goals. These networks of the governing processes can be intergovernmental or inter-organizations or can be transnational. It also be defined in terms of interaction between state and society. Dimensions of governance. According to World Bank document Governance and Development, there are four key dimensions of governance. The first one is public sector management. These dimensions has been emphasized on the capacity building of the public sectors for sound economy and quality service delivery to the citizens. The second one is accountability. The World Bank very much emphasizes on the accountability. It has been described as the heart of the governance. Generally, accountability means holding public officials responsible for their action. Political leaders have been responsible to the citizens for the implementation of sound economic policies. It has also been referred the balance between public policy and its implementations and proper allocations of public resources for the social and economic development. The third one is the legal framework for development. The bank has discussed the legal framework for development on the basis of rule of law for the stable economic growth. The fourth one, transparency and informations. According to the bank, a competitive market economy requires that economic actors have access to relevant, timely, and reliable information. To the bank, transparency and informations have been beneficial in terms of three areas like economy, efficiency, transparency as a means of preventing corruption, and the importance of informations in the analysis, articulations, and acceptance of policy choice. Now, the main point is what is the concept of good governance? The term good governance had been very popular in the field of social sciences during the last decade. But the concept of good governance is very old as like human civilizations. Kautilya has said in his Arthashastra that in the happiness of his subject lies the king's happiness, in their welfare his welfare. He shall not consider as good only that which please him, but treat as beneficial to him whatever please his subject. We have found the concept in the ancient Indian writer like Kautilya, Mahabharata, Shukracharya's Nitisar, and others Western scholars like Plato, Aristotle, and Thomas Hobbes, etc. In that ancient India, rulers were obligated by the precepts of dharma, which was closely related with the good governance. Governance, as the normative sense, has given the concept of good governance. Good governance refers to the welfare in the governance and improving the quality of governance. Good governance enables government to provide equal opportunities and fair delivery of goods and services to the people who are most marginal in the society. Good governance refers to the mobilize the people of a country in the best direction possible. Good governance requires the unity of people in the society and motivates them to attain the political objectivity. In other words, good governance ensures proper utilization of all resources of the state for its citizens, which ensures sustainable development. Definitions of good governance. According to the World Bank, good governance is central to creating and sustaining an environment which fosters strong and equitable development, and it is an essential complement to sound economic policies. To UNDP, good governance is, among other things, participatory, transparent, and accountable. It is also effective and equitable, and it promotes the rule of law. Good governance ensures that political, social, and economic priorities are based on broad consensus in society, and that the voices of the poorest and the most vulnerable are heard in decision making over the allocation of development resources. International Monetary Fund has been defined good governance as a broad concept covering all aspects of how a country is governed, including its economic policies, regulatory framework, and adherence to rule of law. The IMF very much emphasizes for promoting good governance on mainly two areas. One is the management of policy resources through reforms covering public sector institutions, and second is the development and maintenance of the transparent and stable economic and regulatory environment conducive to private sector activities. Now, the question is, what are the parameters of good governance? Governance needs some parameters to make it good. Good governance has 8 major characteristics. The first characteristics of good governance is participations. Participations of citizen in the process of governance is the key cornerstones of the good governance. Participation as an important step for mobilizing the people to participation in the decision making process. The other important parameters of good governance is a rule of law. Good governance needs a fair legal framework to establish rule of law in the society. Rule of law ensures the impartiality which helps to protect the human rights, particularly who is most marginal in the society. The third one is transparency. Good governance needs transparency for the fair delivery of services to the citizen. It ensures balance between policy making and its enforcement following proper rules and regulations. The fourth one is responsiveness. Responsiveness has a basic necessity of administration which can motivate the interrelationship between administration and people. It requires the sufficient services to the people with the specific time. The fifth one is consensus oriented. The good governance depends on the consensus of the people in society. It could fulfill the interest of the people as well as community. It helps to achieve the long-term perspective of human development, and it originated from the social culture and institutional behaviors of the particular society. The sixth one is equity and inclusiveness. An equitable, just society must be established for ensuring good governance. Society's well-being depends on how members how its members feel about it. Good governance requires all its members feels that they have a stake in it and they are not excluded from the mainstream in the governance. The seventh one is effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness and efficiency ensures the outcome of the institutions to meet the need of the society. Proper utilizations of the society's resources for establishment sustainable development is the key of good governance. It also ensures the sustainable use of natural resources for protection of the environment. The last one is accountability. Accountability is the most important element for ensuring good governance. Good governance depends on how accountable governmental as well as private sector and civil society organizations to their people and its institutional stakeholders. Without transparency and rule of law, accountability cannot be established as well as good governance. Thank you friends for watching this video. For more video, please do subscribe our channel.